All right. What's going on, everyone? Your friendly neighborhood fanboys here, back for another podcast after about a week and a half hiatus here.
Took a little hiatus.
Yeah, tiny little one there, boy. All right,
but we're back. We're back on the saddle.
Big horse guy.
Yeah.
Before we jump back on that horse, though, hit that like button. Really does help us out. Subscribe to our channel if you're coming here on YouTube, or subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever this may find you. And we got a lot to talk about today, including Godzilla x Kong. We got the recap of the Halo TV series, which is just so dear to our hearts. And a few little other tidbits of information. So
some timbits of information.
Exactly. So let's get right into it. We were invited by WB Canada. We had the privilege to go out and attend a screening of Godzilla x Kong and hit this pretty cool event that they had held for us at this little neon bar, which was unreal.
Yep. Shout out to WB Canada.
Thank you
for having us out.
Appreciate it.
So let's just go around. Let's give kind of some highlights or favorite things about the movie, maybe, and then we can go on to some negatives that we had.
Cool.
Sorry.
No. Please finish your sentence.
Just a pointing hand.
The talking gauntlet. We have to pass
whoever has the gauntlet can talk. Yeah.
Perfect. So, I mean, kind of going off what I mentioned in that little short we did, I thought the Kong storyline was pretty captivating among the other 16 storylines that were in the movie. But yeah, no, I thought it was great. Right at the beginning of the movie, like Ben and I looked at each other and we're like, "Why is this the best CG I've ever seen?" Like, I don't know, the water with the fur and everything, and just I don't know, the scale, everything was just really good.
Simulations were like off the charts.
And then little Kong there was just hilarious. And monkey. Like, at one point, Kong's just beating the other ones with him. I'm like, what is this movie going to be? Little did I know that was just the tip of the iceberg of crazy fights. So that would be my little review.
What about you, Alex?
Honestly, I feel like we're going to be kind of recycling a lot of each other's points on what we liked the most.
Yeah, call you Earth Hour.
Yeah, very eco-friendly.
Eco-friendly podcast over here. No, I got to agree with you, Reese. The Kong stuff
Thanks, man.
Was the
like sportscasters.
Thanks, Alex. Back to you.
Yeah, Reese, just building off what you said earlier there. Yeah, great Kong stuff in the film. I really connected
Warner
with
Brothers really took it to us hard that time.
I had a little bit of a disconnect with this movie because I have not watched an American or North American Godzilla film since 2014, the Gareth Edwards one. So I have not watched the other three sequels that have come before it. So I was kind of detached from the franchise going into this film, so I didn't really know what to expect. However, I do agree with you. My favorite stuff by far was that entire Kong storyline. I thought they did a great job kind of just capturing, like just displaying raw emotion. The CG is also, like, just to go off what you said again, CG's fantastic. It looked really good. But a lot of the Kong scenes were just great. Like I was really afraid that they were going to start like either talking in like subtitles or like actually having dialogue in all that Kong stuff.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous at the beginning of the movie. I'm like, God, I hope they don't do that. And they did not. Everything was done through action. Everything was done through, like, the facial animations and the expressions and everything. And that was even deeper than the story that was going on with all of the humans, to me.
Yeah, 100%.
Everything else, like, there were some cool Godzilla moments, even though he was only in the movie for, like, I think he had, 10, 15 minutes of screen time altogether. I would say, CG's great. I was getting into it for the first third story wise, especially when they were kind of going into the hollow earth and getting closer and closer to the mystery of where this other Kong realm is.
Let us rejoice and be glad.
I forget his name, but the evil Kong, that
evil Dr. Porkchop.
Yeah,
the other monkey.
That stuff was good. Overall, that's pretty much everything that I liked. What do you think?
Kong stuff, all fantastic. I won't repeat literally everything you both said.
Why don't we just repeat everything?
Okay.
Just copy paste for everyone.
Sure. Yeah, I really love the Kong stuff. And no, honestly though, like what you were saying, Reese, like we turned to each other and we were like, wow, like the first, little opening scene there with
that was
him
great
fighting off
sequence,
all that. Yeah. And then he tears the one in half and like sprays its guts all over him,
He's
like
like, ew.
making the alpha.
Ow.
that was all like super super cool. And then I really liked like the even though like we only got a little bit of Godzilla, I liked like how viciously alpha he has become. Like yes, obviously he is the king of the monsters, but like to actually see that he just goes into all the other ones' territories and just like mangles them in 5 seconds
just to get their energy.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta charge up. All right,
literally he just goes and slaughters that like that Arctic thing and then gains all its power and then kind of evolves. Like that was sweet to me. Yeah, that's what I liked. What did you like?
Back to you, Dan.
Yeah.
Back to you, Ollie.
Yeah. Well, thanks,
Go
Ben.
rain.
Well, just to circle back on what was said before, really deep in the paint there in the third quarter. I mean, I don't really have anything new to add. I mean, like the CG was awesome. Monster designs are really cool. Mm-hmm. I feel like I was like the most hard on the movie out of all of us. So obviously like the big standouts are like the spectacle and the CG and all the fights was really cool. For me, that was really like the biggest takeaway as far as like what I loved about the movie.
So let's wrap it back around then. What are your biggest dislikes or negatives?
Can I just mention one scene that I thought was hilarious?
Sure, Bob.
Okay, when they're in Egypt and like Godzilla's Godzilla's running at Kong. Kong's like holding his hand up like, let me tell you something. He just crushes him into the thing. Oh, it's funny.
Why I had a steady to go off that point. I had like a revelation in that scene because I was like, wow, you're watching the Godzilla and Kong fight, and I was like, oh my god. This is BVS, but with Godzilla and Kong. Literally to the point where Kong knocks out Godzilla and he's dragging him by his tail, which is legitimately what Batman was doing to Superman when he beat him, when he was bringing the when he was holding him by his cape. I was like, wow, Snyder's influence truly runs through cinema in such a deep, interconnected way. It cannot be overstated.
SMH
It actually
mode.
is insane though, because then Mothra shows up and it's literally the big three. It's like, oh, there's Wonder Woman.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And then like the evil Kong is like the Lex Luthor, and then he has another thing, which is the Doomsday, which is the Ice Godzilla.
True.
So I just
BVS.
you know what? Yeah. So it's literally BVS. So thank you, Zack Snyder. Your influence is still felt. Dan, back to you, buddy. What were your criticisms?
One podcast. We can't even go one.
Come back to Dan's face just the whole time.
That's the best thing I've ever heard.
Dan's retiring after this podcast. He's like, I'm done.
What were we talking about again?
The
critiques.
A negative or two.
Okay. I mean, without like going like too like hardcore, I think like my biggest thing, at least with just like where the franchise has gone in general, is that where we started with like the Gareth Edwards Godzilla film was a very, and I know I throw around the word grounded, but I don't mean it as in like it needs to be the most realistic thing. But like I liked how, more of a serious and mysterious approach he took to the monsters and kind of like the mysticism behind Godzilla, and he was something to be scared of. Mm-hmm. And then in these last couple of movies, it's just become like, it's like superheroes in monster form, right? It's just like, oh, Godzilla's going to save the day. Kong's gonna... And it's just like, it takes away from like the scale and the meaning of it. And like, I'm a big fan of the original as well. Or sorry, the Gareth Edwards original, as well as like the old school,
like the 1954 Gojira. Yeah.
And like for me, Godzilla symbolizes, or I mean, not for me, it's like what he does symbolize is like the damage of the atom bomb and what, like he's a symbol of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? So it's like, it's a warning to what nuclear weapons can do. Mm-hmm. So to just see that evolve into like, just CG monster superhero chaos, and you brought up a good point on the way home, Alex. Like these are more like the Toho like cartoony versions, like just the American version of that.
This is like the CG version of like
Godzilla,
six guys in
like,
suits sprinting at each other in the 70s.
Well, I mean, like when the movies where you like the original film, like that you see, like the first, I forget the actual name of it, but like the Mothra, the Mecha Godzilla, like all those films, they were not received very well at the time. They developed a cult following throughout the years, but again, those had a little more, I think, a little more charm than like a big, like big budget Hollywood movie. But all I was trying to say is I can kind of give it sort of a pass because you're watching history kind of repeat itself, right? The franchise has done this before. I 1000% agree with you. Like I prefer the Gareth Edwards version. I prefer the original Gojira. Like I prefer even like Shin Godzilla came out in 2017. Mm-hmm. That was a great movie. I haven't seen -1 yet, which we got to
We
get
literally
on that,
cannot
but-
find. It's not available in North
Not
America
yet.
yet.
Blu-ray's coming out soon though.
But just
yeah,
another
I
thing
can
though
see that
about
great.
like even we've talked about this, and that's like another reason we love the first one. And like I actually went back and watched Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs Kong a couple nights ago. And like Godzilla King of the Monsters, I know we've like griped about that, but that movie still follows into tradition of the first one, where it's like the monsters are something to be feared. Like
Yeah.
you see the damage on the ground level of like what happens when these monsters are unleashed into the world. Like one of the scenes that stands out to me in Godzilla King of the Monsters is when Rodan comes out from the volcano, and then like you just see the vortex of people getting swooped up, and it's like
Yeah.
fear. We got
It's
to
terrifying.
evacuate. Like it's terrifying, right? But now it's like, oh, Godzilla's just created a little doggy den in the Coliseum, and everybody's like, yeah, well, that's where he sleeps now. And it's just like, whoa, you gotta wait. It's like,
they just decimate the pyramids.
yeah, it's just
And,
like, oh, well, you know
thousands
what?
of people
They're
are
like,
dead.
thanks, Godzilla. You know,
Yeah, they
like-
literally say at one point, like the humans are like, "Well, yeah, tell them to be thankful that it wasn't worse or something like that."
Yeah.
When,
And I love how like one thing that kind of made me kind of cringe a little bit was like they show him as like a superhero in the world now, but every once in a while they'll throw in a scene of him like like walking through a bridge, but like there's never any like no, but it's
on
true.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
there's
like-
never any like people on it
No,
and
yeah.
shit, and you're just like
well, we just lost
they're
that
just
one
like,
bridge.
oh look, like he's still bad, like watch out, and you're like,
BVS,
not,
they
like-
landed on Stryker's Island. It's uninhabited.
it's uninhabited. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's uninhabited. Yeah.
I do feel like they do strike a kind of a balance in some ways, because it's like when you this is going to be absurd like to listen to, but I mean, if you really think about like realistically what the world
Yeah, what are you gonna do,
what
right?
would mankind have to do to live
Accept it
with
fully.
a Godzilla? It's like basically 100% acceptance. It's like, oh, he's sleeping in the Roman Coliseum. Yeah, take care. I would evacuate the country. I'd evacuate the continent, actually,
Yeah.
in case he wants to like move, because he's gonna decimate 4 blocks with 1 foot. And he doesn't
Literally.
even know. So it's
Yeah, and like I guess understand the give and take, but it's just like how like I guess more so like how the whole tone of the movie shifted
I do
from
agree
it
with you.
being
I
like
do agree with you.
like a disaster movie with the monsters being the disaster to being like
instead it's BVS now.
Yeah.
it's the team up movie of it's Guardians
Sure.
of the Galaxy, X Kong,
Yeah.
Avengers Endgame, Deadpool 3. Like, yeah.
I to build off what you were saying, I think my biggest gripe, like I could personally overlook all of the stuff with like him sleeping like wherever he wants and stuff for literally those exact reasons, but like the one thing that drives me nuts is the human plot elements of this story
Every
are
time.
so like
Intrusive.
they're so like cereal box Indiana Jones to me.
Yeah.
Like having the big guy come down and like perform dental surgery
Oh
and
my
he has to be like the Ace Ventura of the movie for no reason, and then having is it Brian Tyree Henry's character come out and like just to kind of be there
The
and
edgy
just to like be
podcast
quippy
guy.
and stuff. It's like the edgy podcast guy
Yeah.
is so unnecessary to me. Like I actually like I can't remember her name, but the little girl who's the last of her kind
Yeah.
that can communicate with Kong.
Yeah.
Kiwi tribe. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting.
Yep.
But I thought they should have limited that to yes, she straight up is the last of her
Is the
kind.
last one.
She is the only one that can like truly communicate with Kong. And I feel like that like give a good dynamic, because then, she is kind of like the
key to-
she's the key to communicating with him. And like when he comes up, instead of just like waiting for the robo dentist to fly in on his hover ship that they have the technology for some reason, it could be her to be like, oh, he's injured, like he needs to rest, like how can we assist him, instead of just being like, oh yeah, that giant robotic gauntlet we somehow forgot about and it's sitting in the jungle somewhere and you don't see us get it, like that I don't like. I don't like how fantastical it gets when they find the rest of her tribe, because then it just gets like, obviously Hollow Earth is already an absurd idea, but like this just takes it like 3 steps further.
So I went back and watched Kong Skull Island the other day,
Yeah.
and like obviously the Iwi tribe is in that, and they're literally like what would be the last
Yeah.
civilization to never reach outside of their little
Mm-hmm.
world. So that it's like it's what you would expect. But then in this movie, like Hollow Earth, they got like glowing lightsaber icicle
Yeah, like,
sticks,
it
and
just-
it's just like
And again, I think that it touches on the overall concern I think many of us have or share, in that like they've just taken like the fantastical road instead of kind of keeping it in that grounded like style of even like the first Kong. Like even
Right.
I don't like the word
Kong is out
grounded.
there. No, I'm not saying that to be like it's grounded. It's not grounded at all, but like it's grounded in a sense where at least it keeps it keeps the human element being that of like fear surrounding the monsters and not fantasy.
Yeah, the genre has changed.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm repeating myself, but disaster movie was the first
Yes.
one, and even part of the second one.
Yep.
To being
Like they
action
started
adventure
getting
movie.
fantastical
Yeah.
with like their technology in the second one, which is what bothered me. But at least at its core, it was like, here's an acoustic device for contacting these things or like kind of having a channel of communication with them, and like that was like, okay,
Yeah,
that's cool.
Even the underground
Are they
fortress,
gonna-
like I was cool with, like the
that was
underwater
the stretch
fortress.
for me, and like having the massive, flying fortress too. It was just like, okay, we go from like fighter jets and like Halo jumping in the first one to like
Taking the
A
nuke
flying
on an
fortress.
old train
Yeah.
across the country.
literally, and
Yeah.
now it's like
Going
anyway.
into Hollow Earth now. Yeah, you know what I think genuinely would fix like my main issue with the movie is if they kept it on Skull Island instead of going to Hollow Earth. If Kong stuff was on Skull Island, I would be way more invested and down with this than them having to go like deep into like the center of the earth, and then it's all like the glowing crystals and the rainbows, and it's just like
If I can just make one point, I think that's why my enjoyment of the film is kind of outweighed a little bit by you guys, because I have not, like I said before, I've only watched the 2014 Godzilla and this one. So in my mind, I was like a little more fully accepting of the world that everything exists in, because I haven't really watched the progression.
Really?
With
I
some,
would feel like that'd be even worse for me if I went right from that to this.
Yeah.
well, it's just I didn't know what to expect, right? Like I didn't know what to expect. In terms of like that fantastical element of, oh yeah, like, we're pulling the tooth out of Kong or whatever, like I actually don't even really mind that, to be completely like transparent. For me, I was actually getting into the exploration aspect of the story for the first, I would say like third in terms of the human story. The biggest thing that bugged me is that there was, in like my viewing, there was absolutely no chemistry between any of the main human characters.
Yeah.
Like though, like it was the mom, it was the Ace Ventura dude, and it was the podcast dude. There was like, obviously like the girl can't really talk, so like whatever. But there was like no chemistry. I'm like sitting there watching. I'm like, I don't feel any like kind of like sense of connection to these guys.
Yeah.
There's no real cohesion. Like there's no real like camaraderie or bond really between. And if it was in the dialogue, it was so forced. That was what bothered me the
Pure
most.
exposition. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
the exposition. Like having the podcast dude be like, oh yeah, so this is gonna do that and that's gonna do that. It's like, okay, we don't really need that. Like
And how do
I
you
literally
know?
just watched 25 minutes of Kong, like going through Kong's like whole arc.
Silent footnote,
Silently.
and you like fully are aware and understanding of everything that's happening
And
too,
that's
which is
and
great.
that is what's the most interesting thing about this movie is like there are elements that were so well done.
Yeah.
Like the Kong stuff was, in my mind, looking back at it now that we're about a week removed almost, like in my mind it's a King Kong movie. You know what I mean? It's not really
It
a
is.
Godzilla movie to me or anything, but like that was like so well done. And then the other stuff was so not well done. It's like it was such a
Yeah.
it's such a
Like they
dichotomy.
were right there.
you know the dichotomy of good versus evil
But you know
and
what I
black
mean, though?
versus white.
The icing on the cake was that Lost Tribe. Like that. Then when they lost me as soon as they got in contact with that like very like Last Tribe, I was like, I think we could have like story wise omitted that completely.
100%.
You know what I mean?
No, 100%. I think the thing with the tooth thing that drove me nuts is like you're telling me that King Kong, the last one of the last remaining Titans, one of the greatest Titans, and he's all of a sudden needs to take a nap because he has a toothache. Like you're telling me he couldn't just.
See,
okay,
like even that, I think what
he needed a human dentist to
Yeah.
come save him. Like that bothered me because I'm like,
Yes, but if you really look
it's
into the
dumb. Like-
subtext, if you really look into the subtext of that, that really kind of, I think that all the Kong stuff in this movie carries forward the emotional threads of the idea of King Kong, and that might
Him
sound
being
like,
connected into the protector of
Yes.
humanity. And all
without
that
sounding
stuff.
too film boy pretentious, if you watch the original, like the concept of the character is, he's disconnected from humanity. He is longing for a human connection, but humans just treat him like a freak, a freak show, right? Whereas those little emotional threads are kind of
see,
carry this movie.
I think I'll say one more thing about this.
Yeah.
Like I could have overlooked the whole dentist thing if the robotic hand was not in the picture and they just
That was very convenient.
Yeah.
like, or they like chop it off or like amputate it for him or something, like something that is like doable by human standards today. Or if they're going to do the whole tooth thing, like do it with technology that we currently have and make it a hurdle to actually overcome in the movie to like help him with his journey. Because this was just like, oh, happens all the time. And then this random hover ship from the year 3035 comes in and helps him do this and all this stuff. It's like,
Isn't that leftover Mechagodzilla tech though?
I would assume it's
whatever.
probably, yeah.
But that's a whole other issue to me, though, is that stuff. Because it's like,
we're stretching, we're
Anyway,
taking liberties.
yeah,
with,
I'll stop going. Personally, I don't think it's a terrible movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's just like there are definite parts that like yank me right out of it.
Could have been an
More
hour shorter if you cut out a lot of the human stuff. That
Yeah, or
wasn't
just
necessary.
like, or have like two, like have the girl and the doctor be the only human characters in the story.
that would have been great.
Yeah,
because
to-
then you have time to explore the mother-daughter
Exactly.
connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
and-
thought they were gonna do.
100%.
Like during the school stuff, like when she's at school and she's struggling, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, here we go. Like
Literally.
Yeah.
that stuff was
Yeah.
getting me
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the point of like,
Exactly.
I'm actually interested in.
And
this.
they serve as the contextualization for things that need contextualizing, not just every single thing that we're viewing on screen, being talked about by every character. It's just
Yeah.
like, no, they're there to serve the parts that can't be interpreted just from watching like all the King Kong and like Little Kong story things that you can get just by watching like them emote.
One thing I have to talk about is it's unrelated, but I just remembered it. It was making me chuckle, like the bad King Kong, like the bad ape, like how he had the icicle to control the. All I could think of was Voldemort from Harry Potter, because even the way he was waving it, he was just like.
Yeah, the way he
he
held
was holding
it
it,
was so
Literally, his Wii remote.
The Kong
Yeah.
who lived is Kong to die. it's like BVS, Harry Potter, Yeah, no, it was the Voldemort of King Kong.
I liked the Ice Godzilla. That was cool.
cool sound design too.
Really cool sound design. I actually I liked how he was integrated. Like he was like chained up by like the bad ape there, and he had to kind of control over him. That was really cool. The Mothra, like I don't know why Mothra needed to be in it whatsoever.
And, like,
Maybe
how
I
she
missed.
is
Came out of
alive again.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
materialized.
And it was weird because the way, again, I'm disconnected from this. The way they were setting up Mothra, like I thought it was going to be a different Mothra or something, because the Mothra had already died. So like I was confused on
I thought it was a different Mothra.
Oh, it was a different Mothra.
But like they never say that or like reference.
Mothra gets disintegrated at the end of.
She's gone forever. She gets absorbed into Godzilla.
Yeah. So
But like after dying.
I would just assume that it's just like another egg in Middle Earth, or I don't know.
Mothra
The
the
crystals
second.
absorbed her.
you know what?
whatever,
Didn't have to be in there. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Didn't have to be in there.
Truly.
I don't know.
It just served as like more firepower for them in the final fight, honestly. Like
Yeah.
no other reason why it should have been in there. But
Yeah.
Well, she had to become the Trinity for BVS references.
That is, and
solely for that purpose.
that's what I'm saying.
Alex is gonna write a video essay on the similarities between BBS and Kong.
Yeah.
All right, my little critique on
Yeah.
the movie is basically that the human characters were like described video for the visually impaired. Like literally everything that happened, it was like, Godzilla changes purple. Godzilla's changing. Yep, I have eyes.
correct.
That's why I'm here watching this movie. Like
Yep.
I can see it, and it just like that just kept happening over and over again, and it was like kind of like going off what you said, Alex. They were doing such a good job at explaining the story without the subtitles for the Kong characters or anything like that, and it was actually cool because you had
Yeah.
to pay attention and
Yeah.
look at their expressions and see what was happening,
Yep.
and you could
Yep.
feel that relationship happening between Kong and Little Kong, and then we get to the thing and it's like, oh, here's exactly what's going to happen. First off, Mr. Podcast Guy, you just said you've never been down here. How do you know this stuff? Second off, we're watching. We're here. We're actually part of the movie. We're the audience. We're seeing this all
Yeah.
happen. Maybe
Literally, yeah.
let it roll out,
That's kind of like the problem I have with movies in general now. It's just like they just assume the average moviegoer is unintelligent and unable to.
It's like watching a movie with a girl and like something's about to happen. They're like, oh, what's about to happen? It's like literally wait 7.5 seconds and it happens.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, that's literally what it was. Except this guy was there to be the answer to that question. So when you're watching it with a girl, that guy's already answering it.
Yeah. But I do agree with you, Dan. I think studios are underestimating the intelligence level of the average viewer now. Like I think that viewership, like audiences that are watching movies, like I think, no offense to the older generation, I'm just saying I think audiences are smarter now than I think they've ever been, right? Because this art form, this visual language has been just like bred into us for our entire lives, for a couple of generations now at this point. Like audiences are smarter than you give them credit for. So that's why when you're looking at like bad exposition in movies, it's like film is supposed to be a visual language. Don't tell us, show us, right? And that's why, you look at all the greatest films ever. I mean, like, I'll even use Doom Part 2 as an example. Like, like dialogue is not super heavy in that movie.
No.
It's a lot of showing. Like, it's a lot of actually using the utilities of the medium to its full capacity.
Yep.
And
The concept.
we're getting
Wild.
we're really getting
concept.
away from that, but
Just to summarize, I
Yeah.
feel like we're all kind of on the same page with like the spectacle aspects were great, the Kong aspects were cool. We're a little disconnected by the fantasy that has taken over this entire franchise, but I personally would say that it was fun. I have had a little more time to review it. It was a fun movie. I also think I didn't go in with like very, very high expectations, so I was kind of pleasantly surprised in a lot of parts, in my viewing experience that made it worth the watch. So, how about you?
I think I just know like the movie wasn't meant for me. Like and like especially since Kong took the front of the storyline. Like I've always been partial to Godzilla. I've never been that interested in King Kong as a character. So Godzilla was more of a sideline in this movie. So that all of those things aside, like I know like the movie itself wasn't for me, but that doesn't mean like it was terrible. And it goes back to what I was saying in the last podcast is like I can step aside and say, hey, you know what, like it wasn't for me. There was a lot of cool things in it that I saw, but wasn't my favorite. I more prefer like the original, like the Gareth Edwards, and even like King of the Monsters I really like. The last two have just kind of strayed really far away from what I like in the monster movie genre. But hey, that's just my thing. Like I'm not discrediting it. I think it was great for what it tried to accomplish, but yeah, wasn't mine.
How about you?
Yeah, going off with you guys, it's not a terrible movie by any means. There are honestly some really great aspects of it. As someone who really likes like the old Godzilla films and some of the films throughout, history and Kong too, I thought it was a lot of fun overall, like you were saying, Ben. Little gripes, I think, did not totally ruin my viewing experience, but like it did definitely take me out of it. Now that we've had a little bit of time to kind of live with it a little bit, I'm not I look back on it like, I'll probably like end up watching it maybe once or twice more like in my life, you know what I mean? So it was good, not terrible. It has made me want to go back and rewatch the other ones. So I guess I could like honestly like I chalk that up as like a win for them. I mean, like, I'm gonna go check out the ones in
I'm
between.
gonna watch King of the Monsters tonight for sure. Now that we've been talking
Yeah.
about it.
So, but no, yeah, not the worst, but it was fun. How about you?
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. It was fun. It was chaotic. VFX were insane. Obviously, as
They
you
were
guys
so
know.
good.
Yeah, like
They were really
I
good.
just enjoy that spectacle. I know, story wise, it wasn't crazy, and as we mentioned before, we did get a little disconnected at points, but overall, it was fun. Good popcorn movie, I would say. If you're just hanging out.
You like finished your popcorn like before the opening credits.
Oh yeah,
too.
the camera guy comes?
guy
I
was
look-
filming.
I
I
look
just shoveling popcorn in my mouth.
I
was
look over.
fucking starving. Okay.
Yeah, I know. No, I look over and Reese is just shoveling it by the fist
Yeah.
in his mouth.
That's why I look like this. No, but no. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say and one more time just wanted to really thank WB for having
Yes.
us out. Like the event honestly was bar
Yes,
none.
thank you.
The event
Yeah.
was so much fun. It was
Yeah.
so well done, and it was really
Walking
great to
in-
connect with other people that were
Yeah.
also invited. Like
Yeah.
it was a really
It was a good
cool
time.
environment.
Walking
yeah.
into that like after party too was sick. Like
Oh,
just
yeah.
the set deck and like the music they had, it felt like you were going through the jungle.
Yeah,
Literally,
it was like a late night what's it called, Rainforest Cafe.
Yeah,
it was
literally.
it was so
Adults
cool.
only.
And I
Rainforest.
mean, talking to other creators and other people, like people that were in the same screen that we did, like everyone was, kind of still on the high of the kind of like adrenaline rush of the movie. It just seemed like everyone kind of like had a good time watching it. And honestly, at the end of the day, like for a big budget Hollywood film, like that's I guess all you could ask for, right? So,
Yeah.
real quick, what would you go like right off the top of your head? What would you rate it out of 10?
6.5.
6'5".
7.5.
I would say like a 6.
6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
I thought it was fun.
yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Just
But
fast forward to
I'm
the
really
good
like
parts.
strict with my rating system. I don't know, like I don't hand out like 9s and 10s every
No.
like, so it's just like a 6.5.
I
to
hand
me
out
is, like,
9s
a
and 10s
good.
like Halloween candy. No, I'm just kidding. But that was fun. You know what was not fun though? Oh, sorry. Were you gonna
So
say something?
I was just gonna say I know where you're going with this, and I was gonna say now that we're in the mindset of rating things off the top of your head, what would you rate Halo Season 2 off the top of your head?
0.5.
Okay. 3.
I'm gonna give it a solid 9.5 out of 10. I thought it was a great series. I haven't watched it.
I
Sorry, I haven't been watching it.
I would give it a 1 only because the last episode
I was gonna say
which
last episode
is terrible. That the last episode out of 2 seasons finally showed Halo stuff. But yeah, 1 out of 10 only because the last episode. If not, like I'm never gonna rewatch
No,
this show.
I think
ever.
you. I
I'm
think
being generous too. Like it's coming from
honestly-
me. Like giving it
Yeah.
a 3, but the 3 all is in the last episode.
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
honestly think that you guys are just mad that the show is doing what the games could not.
Oh my god. Okay, there was.
Put
I don't
that
have my
quote up.
phone on
Put that
me.
quote up on
Yes.
the screen.
What was it? Variety or who?
Who
let's
knows?
just read all of the like the
Polygon. Whoever the heck
Oh,
that
it was
is.
Polygon. It was Polygon.
Polygon.
okay,
was like-
so
Respect to Polygon.
Yeah.
No respect to Polygon.
Formerly,
Fuck you. You
formerly
just
a gaming magazine.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
So, 2024's best show so far. So, even the most dubious,
Sokotoa.
even the most dubious fans will enjoy The Verge. Darker and more gritty. Screen Rant delivers sci-fi thrills, paced. Everything the games want to do, but better. Polygon.
What did copy
Turns
say?
out bigger can be better. IGN, highly bingeable. Collider, and these are all like like.
Does that mean like a lot of those are just hollow? Like
The
you can tell that was
kaleidoscope?
like a line in the review, and they gave it like a 4.
Highly bingeable, so you can get it over with quicker.
Exactly.
Jeez.
And skip
Watch
to
it
the
at
parts
2
you don't
times
like.
speed, and you still won't understand what the fuck's going on.
So
yeah.
how did you guys feel about how it wrapped up? I'll be the moderator.
Sure.
During this. This.
Can I start? I have a lot to say about
Yeah,
it.
sure.
Actually, you know what? Ben starts because then we'll just agree with everything you're saying.
Cool.
We won't have to talk anymore about it. Ben?
Awesome.
Perfect.
Go
This will be a
off.
quick segment.
Go off.
Okay, a couple things to highlight here. They spend way too much time on tertiary characters. They should really think about if they have the opportunity to make season 3, cutting all those other characters out, like Soren and Quan and like I mean that's pretty much it. Cut Soren and Quan, you're good. They already and that's no offense to the actors. They did a great job with what they were given. However, I just think as characters written into this story, they serve little to no purpose, and they were kind of forced to have purpose in the second season, especially. Didn't like that. They really have to rethink their whole like who is a reclaimer thing. As we all know in the games, a reclaimer is a human.
Yep.
The Forerunners give reclaimer status to human beings to unlock their secrets.
The
and
mantle of responsibility.
yeah, this is just the mantle of responsibility BS like has to go, and they're giving it to just literally every single person in their plot that is just on screen just for the sake of giving it to them. Quan again being one of those people. Like,
Wow, that's convenient.
so dumb. They killed off characters that we actually like, a la Noble Team, which really seemed kind of off to me. Like they literally killed off Chief's entire Silver Team.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which was kind of weird because like Spartans like Vanek and stuff like that, like the tanky ones that you actually found interesting or at least served kind of a good purpose, were just killed.
I really hope, just quickly touching on that,
yeah.
I hope them doing that though really gives us, if they do a season 3, that'll really just be Chief and Cortana on the Halo ring. now.
Which is what
So,
it's going to be, I
like-
think. But like, that's a whole other thing I'll get to. But
The damage is already done.
the damage has been done. Yeah.
Twice.
Twice,
Shot while you were down.
literally.
16 times actually, because there's
Yeah.
16 episodes.
100%.
Basically, we just felt like Chief in every single
Yeah.
action scene, laying on the ground.
Literally. That's my other main thing I'm going to say is give Chief things to do. Like, obviously, now, because of the last episode being what the last episode was, now he will have things to do. But that entire season,
He's the only one
he did
left.
nothing. He was either
Yeah.
injured or screaming or, like, being a dick and, like, completely uncharacteristic of how he is, like, in the games and other media, like novels and comics. And just, like, he's always just sitting at a distance, not doing anything. It was everyone else that were doing things. And, like, there were even certain points, like, even with Quan, where I was like, why is Quan doing cool shit and Chief isn't?
Yeah,
Why is
she
Chief out of his armor for
underslinging
6
an
hours?
MG like a machine gun, and Chief's laying on the ground?
And laying on the ground. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, but speaking on that last episode, like that was the only thing we've actually got a taste of that is kind of like quote unquote true Halo, with him fighting the Arbiter.
The flood was done really
The
well.
flood was
The
done
flood.
very, very
Yeah.
well. I was
heard
actually
that.
shocked.
I heard
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Like presentation, like the visuals, like everything was terrifying too. They introduced their own kind of spin on it as well, with like the freezing of the people, which is cool.
Yeah,
like
I
that's
actually-
how you deviate a little bit
Right.
from like
Yes.
canon and like make it cool.
Perfect
still.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
But yeah, there's still things that sketch me out. Like,
Like Quan getting saved by the shaman.
yeah,
The flood doesn't
an
attack
imaginary
her.
flood grave
So-
mine shaman.
What I
hell
interpreted
is
that
that?
was that like she is like somehow attached to the grave mine.
I
and
know,
that's
but,
what
like,
but
that's why it's so
how?
dumb.
the
to me.
shaman was the grave mine.
Literally.
I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
Goodness.
And yeah, just some random shaman on Reach is all of a sudden like the grave mine. And you're like,
only hold them for so
awesome.
Why?
Who are you? And why? Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah. What else
Does
can
the
I
flood
touch on?
Does the flood break out on Reach?
No, on Onyx, which is cool. In the Oni like compound, basically.
Gotcha.
Um,
Because the grave mine isn't like released until the first Halo ring.
well, they're deviating heavy from
I'm
that.
just
They-
saying,
Oh,
like-
they kill Captain Key, so that's 0% gonna happen. Like CE did, where he was proto grave mine, basically.
Oh, that was such a great part of
It
CE,
was
though.
It'd be great to see. They're gonna make Ackerson probably that. I would imagine.
Isn't Miranda in the?
Miranda,
Did it-
you do see eventually
okay,
now
okay.
in season 2. Halsey gets infected by flood and is frozen in cryo.
Slow the infection.
Which this is part of my I'm scared shitless for season 3, because if they randomly find a cure for the flood in its entirety, I'm going to shut it off and never watch that show again in my life. I don't care if you're doing your own take on it. Like, this is supposed to be an unkillable disease,
Well, yeah,
pretty much, for the exception of firing all the rings.
the
so
Forerunners
like,
yeah,
had to
exactly.
kill everything in the galaxy.
yeah, and even then they
Yeah.
couldn't do it, and they made the rings, and that's the
That's
only
what I
way to do
mean.
it. So
Like, if you
they-
do something like that, it kind of eliminates the
entire
the
purpose
threat
of
the-
Halo and the namesake
Yeah,
of the show.
It does
Yeah.
actually eliminate the purpose of
Yeah.
the rings. Yeah,
It literally does.
yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
You know what? And I was kind of cheesed that they were about to kill. It's true though. I was kind of cheesed.
No, you're
they
right.
were-
I'm just laughing
No, no,
because of
I
the
know.
way that it's like a little double entendre he did there.
I was pissed when like Halsey got infected at first, but then I'm like, okay, like at least they have balls to like kill a main character like beloved and like that's
Ballsy.
yeah, Dr. Ballsy.
Ballsy. Born in Balls Falls.
Yep. But
Bally West.
yeah,
Yes.
but the second, like, I
Hollywood.
kind of knew they were gonna freeze her as well, but then I'm like, this definitely means there's gonna be a cure, and I'm going to snap, essentially. I hope it's something like little, like they somehow managed to like extract the
one-
disease to like one of her arms and then cut that arm off. The games, you know, just
Yeah,
have
yeah.
that off, and sure, yeah, we'll go with that and
Yeah,
let
sure.
her live.
Yeah, literally.
sure.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
you want one-armed Halsey? Perfect.
The
Let's
other
give
thing
her
too,
a hand.
let's give her a hand. This is the first time too we see like, you know, the actual ring not in a fever sex dream between McKee and
Yeah.
Chief.
It looked good.
I don't like that McKee is still a vital part of this whole thing.
Yep.
I hate it, in fact. And
the Chief and Arbiter fight was
It
pretty
was
good.
cool.
It was janky.
yeah, but like
It was
for,
still-
for what it is, I
No,
thought
no,
it was good, honestly.
It's probably the best action scene
Yeah.
in the show.
I did think, however, that he was actually going to spare his life at the end when he realized, like, oh, him and I are basically after the same thing, and like have that kind of like Halo 2.
So wait, he fights the
Free
Arbiter.
moment.
Even like Halo Infinite when he fights
Not
the
the
last
same one,
brute
yeah.
there, and he's like he was just a soldier doing his thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I thought that was going to happen, but then he straight up kills him, and I'm like,
No, he's still Dick Chief right now.
he's still Dick Chief, yeah.
Dick Chief.
Is it
And
like
then-
the Arbiter from 2, or is it just like another Arbiter?
I mean,
I'm
I think
blanking
it's
on
their
his
take.
name.
It's
but-
their take on, I think, our Arbiter because
Oh.
he has
And he
the
killed him?
brand.
Chief
on
killed him?
Yeah. Anyway,
What? Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's besides the point.
well,
I'm just
well,
gonna.
McKee also has the brand. because
Well, it's true.
apparently-
So
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
kind of
She's
the
the
arbiter.
Yeah.
The Mustang Mach-E
Oh, the,
Arbiter Edition.
What's it called? The Oracle.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So we think it's Guilty Spark. It could be something else, but knowing them, it'll be Guilty Spark and
But it's
totally
like-
different from the game.
It's like pedo guilty spark.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? It's a cool tease. I'll give them that.
Yeah,
It's like
sorry.
you at first you see Chief talking to something, which is like glowing blue light. I think all of us immediately were like, he's talking to the Spark for sure.
yeah. The spark.
But yeah, he's very like he's not like hello everybody. Like he's not like that. He's just like yeah. So like and it's like super like
That
weird
is the
and shit.
question. It's like
Literally.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, like what are you doing right now? And you're like,
So I
Mr.
heard you slam
Spark?
Covenant.
Ooh. Yeah. I am terrified of that as well because that's just like there's so much good that can come out of that, but also so much bad that they can just Anyway, I won't even get into it anymore. That's a solid 3 for me because that last episode was like, if the whole season was like that, I would have had a new respect. Would have been perfect in my eyes for sure. Still,
even like the ship jumping too was dope when they're flying across
awesome.
To like the cruisers and stuff. I was like, start the show with that episode.
I would have liked if Chief took not 45 minutes to finally decide to go help out too, and just it kept cutting back to shots of him just sitting in the Pelican
trying
just
to make a decision.
Yeah. Like actually,
again,
though, like,
they're doing what the games couldn't do.
Yeah, exactly. Just have Chief not do anything.
I can count.
The games couldn't do that because there wouldn't be any games.
Because you were the player playing as him.
It's the
objective. Sit in Pelican for 45 minutes.
It's the Mary Jane.
Oh, sorry,
mission.
Condor.
Condor.
They fully are against calling it a Pelican for whatever reason, but that's a whole other thing.
Oh, I was gonna say I can count in five hands, 5 fingers.
There you go.
1 hand, 5 fingers.
Look, 10 fingers. See?
How many moments from the show that I actually like enjoyed, and like I like the first opening of the first episode.
Yep.
That was a highlight.
1. The other 4 were in the last episode.
The only other one I will say, like minus Vanek dying, was the sequence leading up to Vanek's death was cool. Other than Chief laying on the ground and crying and needing to be dragged for help, but I would say like that sequence was cool. Yeah. Other than that, it was the flood happening and then the Arbiter fight at the end, and the ship jumping. Yeah. Yep. And that was basically all the things from the entire show that was cool. And Ackerson was great. I don't want to discredit Ackerson because I genuinely think Ackerson was like a really good part of the show.
Whoever's playing him is dope.
Yeah,
like he's crushing.
That's like pretty much Ackerson from the book as well. Like that was a good characterization. Like that was a good book to screen adaptation. That was great. Let's move on to some.
Yeah, I'm sold now. I might go watch it.
Yeah, we'll watch the last episode.
Sold. The gentleman in the black hat.
What else? What was that?
So we recently just found out that we're going to get a trailer for Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
So that's coming out April 9th. We're going to see the trailer.
Big musical, guys.
Yeah. So apparently it's being
that in the airport.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Reese is departing for Europe.
Yeah.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
Far from
the
home.
neighborhood fanboys. Far from home.
Far from home.
I'll actually do so. Anyways.
That'd be
That'd be
hilarious,
cool,
actually.
actually.
That'd be so funny.
Reacting in front of the Coliseum. Hey!
Well, Godzilla's bed, you mean?
Home, yeah.
Oh, yes.
His dog bed.
You should honestly, you're so good with effects. You should literally like do it like you're gonna be in Italy, right?
Yeah.
You should be like in Italy, like running away from like a Mysterio, like the Mysterio thing. I'll bet you could track
Italian
that.
Mysterio and a chef's hat and mustache.
Hey! Spaghetti!
Chef's hat and mustache. Italian Mysterio.
He's chasing you with a baguette and spaghetti meatballs.
I mean, just to speculate on Joker a little bit, I think there was like a little bit of like a track list or like an indication of like what maybe some of the musical numbers would be. It's looking like they're all covers of things, like not really original content.
It was described as a whimsical jukebox musical. Yeah.
But you know what though? I think it's all marketing
It's my
because
favorite
like
genre.
yeah. You know what? I think it purely is marketing though. Like there will be musical aspects of it, but I think they're leading us to believe it's going to be something that it's not. Like,
you think so?
Yes, because given how viciously dark the first one is, I highly doubt they're going to deviate from like the really like dark, fucked up shit, and it's going to be that masking everything that's going on with the plot.
For their sake.
Yeah.
I think
I don't think they would have greenlit it. Like I'm talking like even like last WB regime. I don't even think they would have greenlit.
I feel like
it
it'll probably be like 3 solid performances, like musical parts of it, and then the rest, like you said.
Yeah.
That would be like at the limit of.
I think it might be a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think they might, because at this point, Joker is so in its own pantheon of like superhero, like just like films, like in like superhero films, especially in general. They don't have to really adhere to anything.
No, they don't.
You know what I mean? Because it was such
the first one didn't. It was polarizing.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I mean, they can do like whatever they want. I mean, like I'm not, and you know what? The same goes for like a Matt Reeves Batman too. It's like, that movie was very much like its own kind of thing. Mm-hmm. The second movie could be something like totally different.
They
you know
film
what I mean?
like a Broadway play, and there's like cardboard cutouts of sets and stuff.
I genuinely think there will be actual sequences like that, though. Like, no, I'm not.
It'll
I'm
be like
not
Kill
even
the Justice
joking,
League.
I think what they'll be doing is like
Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr.
I think like all the villains, like the big scenes in the new Batman movie, it's just gonna be like Robert Pattinson, but like
fights his own shadow.
Have just like miniature stop motion animated puppets like superimposed on him that he's like
Clayface is stop motion.
No, but like honestly, like I think like the next Matt Reeves Batman could very well much be the persona of superhero films, like
Ingmar Bergman.
yeah. So I'm expecting this to be. What are you laughing at?
Oh, just Ingmar Bergman. My brain immediately went to Fritz Lang's M.
M's a great movie.
Yeah.
I think this movie. I don't know. It's probably going to be like a Wizard of Oz of Joker kind of thing, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'm of the opinion that they should have just left it alone. Just have the one.
It gives me
I'm
it gives me a
intrigued by
little
the
bit of
concept,
hope.
though.
I am intrigued by it.
Yeah.
It gives me a little bit of hope knowing that I think both Todd Phillips and Joaquin both said like we're not doing two unless it's good enough to do and something unique. So like if
I think it's going to be
crazy. It's going to be unique. It is.
Yeah.
Like, we've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And again, who knows? Like that last story was like so well written that like I'm curious to see what they do with it.
And you know what? I didn't like A Star Is Born, but like Lady Gaga, she doesn't half-ass anything.
Yeah, Lady
she,
Gaga.
she actually is a good actress.
She's honestly a great Harley Quinn. She already talks like that basically, and she's very theatrical.
Yeah.
So like, I'm looking forward. We've literally been stuck with, and I don't mind her portrayal, but we've been stuck with Margot Robbie's portrayal of Harley
for a
Quinn
while. Yeah.
forever. That's the only live action one we've
And
had.
she's
so
already
like,
been in like 2 different multiverses.
yeah,
the same character.
so like, yeah, and now that we've had, before they were protecting Joker after Heath, now we've gotten 78 portrayals of him. Like it's time to see a different Harley for once. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic. Like I just can't help but see it as like the studio seeing how successful the first movie was and like forcing Todd to make a second one. Like that's I can't help but
like
feel that. And I know it might not be the case because I know, but like the only reason I feel that is because the ending of the first one, and then also Todd and Joaquin saying they will not do a second one. So like the fact that they just flipped, unless it was a misdirect.
And again, Joaquin also doesn't do anything unless he is 1,000%.
And he never does sequels.
Yeah,
that's
ever.
true. Yeah, that's true.
So like the fact that he said yes to this, and he's a very eccentric guy. I think everyone knows this by now. So like the fact that he thought it was good enough to like give it a go is
so it's gonna be different enough for him to be like
he can flex a different muscle kind of thing.
Which honestly, and that's something that we've been saying for a while. Like we want superhero films or comic book property, whatever you want to call it, to go in these like wild different directions. Like we want these movies to break new ground. Like we want to see some innovations as a genre. So like if I'm gonna go sit there and it's gonna be Wizard of Oz, whatever, and like in Joker, like I'm gonna be there for it.
Yeah. I'm
curious
excited
to see what they do. Yeah,
for sure.
Sing it in there. No,
we're getting tiny little updates from Gunn on the new Superman movie here and there too, but nothing of note. So we'll hold that for hopefully next time.
We got a picture of the director's chair with his dog sitting in
a
it.
Superman colored director's chair, and David Cornsweat's
with
dog
Crypto
sitting there to be
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
Other than
nice
that, really,
dog, Dave.
Really, the only other thing that's really good, I don't know if you guys have seen it, is X-Men 97.
I haven't watched it yet, but I want to.
Dude, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch the X-Men from like the 90s, like the cartoon,
I was
the original?
deep in the original 90s cartoon and also the 90s Spidey cartoon.
90s Spidey. I
Oh
was there
my
for.
gosh.
They had crossover
Classics.
as well.
Yeah, they did.
Awesome.
Classics. But you guys should, what I will say is, even if you don't know anything, because I recently just watched, like I'm all caught up now. Even if you guys did not watch the old X-Men like cartoon, like go watch 97. Like it's 3-4 episodes out at this point, and it's good. It's good.
It's got
Yeah, it's just great. It's crazy how they were able to still make it feel like the 90s, but it's
I love how animated stuff is just outshining all the live action lately. Like all of the Marvel animation.
It's because it's written well and there's heart behind the creation of it.
Call it Kevin.
And also sorry, oh my gosh, I can't speak right now. They're adhering to like the older style of like the episodic sort of. It's more of like a traditional episodic like show from the 90s, right?
Yeah, like Saturday morning cartoon.
Exactly, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You guys should watch that.
Yeah, I think that's a good spot to wrap her up in. Let us know what you thought of Godzilla X Kong if you've seen it. Let us know what you thought of Halo Season 2 and what you think of all these raving reviews that are all of a sudden popping out of the woodwork. Let us know if you're excited for Joker 2. And yeah, we will be back soon to hopefully share and talk about some cool stuff coming out.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning back in.
Thank you guys.
We'll see you guys later.
Okay, bye.